Hello, hello. Welcome to Courage Becomes Her, where we connect and share real life stories. I'll talk with women whom I love and I'm inspired by, women who are experiencing life just like you and me. I'm excited for us to gather together and cultivate confidence, courage, and joy in life and work.
I still had a lot of creativity to give, and I think I approached it by, it's going to be a fun ride. I didn't know where it was going to go. I knew what I wanted to do. I didn't even know I would be able to sell a chair. And now, my chairs are in Biltmore Estate in their gift shop. So, it's like, who knew?
That was Jenny Ellis. I am so excited to continue our midlife series, Surviving Midlife, with my friend Jenny. So Jenny is an Enneagram 9 and she loves spending time with her family. And as you'll hear in our conversation today, she loves making and sharing beautiful pieces of art. So just a little bit more about Jenny. She and her husband have a blended family of 5 grown children and 5 grandchildren. And she spent her career as a high-end dressmaker. And about 10 years ago, she moved into the upholstery world and now has her artistic chairs featured in stores, restaurants, and hotels all across the U.S., including in the Biltmore Estate in Asheville, North Carolina. So you can actually go to the Biltmore and see her chairs there and even purchase them as well. So in today's episode of Courage Becomes Her, Jenny talks about her need to reinvent herself in her late 50s and choosing to do that through learning something new that was artistic and beautiful and fun. And then how she had a realization a few years later that the heavy labor of upholstering chairs, lugging chairs in her car, and being, just moving chairs all over the place was just more than what her body was able to handle anymore as much as she was doing it. And then it was time to pass on her expertise to others through online courses. And she ultimately just talks about what it was like for her to find a new purpose and to get excited about a new venture that made use of her gifts and her talents from years and years of experience in the season of life that is typically seen as the retirement years. So I am so grateful for you to join me today for this conversation with Jenny. Jenny, thank you so much for joining me today for this conversation for Courage Becomes Her. I am just so happy to have you join me.
Well, thank you for inviting me, Laurel.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's get to know you a little bit before we dive into our midlife topic. So tell us where is home and a little bit about home life.
I live in Asheville, North Carolina, beautiful area where the Blue Ridge Mountains are. And I am married and I have a blended family of 5 grown children and 5 grandchildren, all at different ages. I have a high schooler grandchild, a 7th and 8th grade grandchild, one in kindergarten, and one that's 3 years old. So it's a whole gamut of fun when we're together because there's the big ones take care of the little ones, and it's really fun.
I love that. So good. So good. Okay, what has made you laugh or filled your cup in the last few days or so?
Well, let's see. What has filled my cup? My daughter is getting married next month, and the excitement that is around bringing family together and seeing everybody.
Oh, that's so special. I love that for you. And I had forgotten that was so close coming up. That's been, on the planning for a while. So I love that. So super special.
And I think just this pivot of my business has also filled my cup with something new and exciting that I have not done before. So I think everything's kind of culminating in September.
Yes. Oh, good. Well, I'm excited for us to talk more about that. Okay, what's a current obsession of yours in any category, any genre?
Okay, don't laugh. It's Barbie. I know.
All
Everyone is
right.
all about Barbie. Well, I'm doing a Barbie chair and having a Barbie display in my studio coming this weekend. Of course, I'm a little late on the game, but it's still running strong. But the whole story about it, I went to the movie, Ruth Handler, and how she felt like girls were only holding baby dolls, and she
Hmm.
wanted women to think beyond just being a mom. And I didn't hear the story. I mean, I knew a little bit about Barbie. My kids played with Barbie. I played with Barbie, but I didn't know the whole big story. And in the movie, she is represented. She comes out and talks to Barbie and talks about the reason why she did it, why she created Barbie, and it was just like a full circle of, oh, this is why we have all these different Barbies, and some were even funny because you remember some of them and you don't, and oh yeah, that was
Hmm.
very brief. And then they took it off the market for various reasons. But I think just because she was a woman that was ahead of her time and doing
Hmm.
something that was kind of a niche, nobody had done grown dolls except maybe somewhere in Europe that they weren't very wholesome kind of dolls, that kind of thing.
Sure.
So, but and it was just fun to relive that part of my life,
Hmm.
my kids' lives, now my grandkids' lives. Barbies were
Wow.
everywhere.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, that's so neat.
Yeah,
Hmm.
so that's my current obsession. I'm sure that will die quickly, but for now, it's a fun thing to ride.
Totally. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I can't wait to see the chair that you do. That's going to be really fun. It's
It
super
is really
neat.
fun.
Okay. Tell us about your Enneagram and your love language.
Well, my Enneagram is number 9, the peacemaker, and I fit that to a T. I like things to be kind of status quo. I like to make people, the peace of the family, the children. I think that's always been one, and I like to give gifts, and I'm a giver. So I think
Hmm.
that just kind of, I like to make things for people. I love to create wonderful, parties and things like that. So I think I fit both of those really well.
Yeah. I think you do too. Which, and even as a business owner and these amazing, incredible pieces of art that you've made, like you do it with a heart for how can I, make this person happy? How can I, bring something to my clients that is beautiful and lovely and, really just fills them. So that taps into both your 9 and your gifts. I love both.
Well, yeah, and that I had a store owner once who was consigning some of my pieces. She said, "You need to come down here and watch what people look like when they see your chairs." Because
Mm.
I guess I never had seen that before because I would make a chair and put it in a shop and I never see who bought it or what the idea was that they were going to use with it. So yeah, it's very exciting to create things that make people smile and
Yes.
bring joy to their environments.
I love that. So good. Okay, what's a best movie or show that you've watched in the last year-ish?
Coda, yeah, I just saw that recently and I thought that was just a wonderful, story about, how to overcome the difficulties she had in her life, the young
Mm.
girl. And then the other one I saw was Otto, where it was,
With
Tom
Tom
Hanks.
Hanks.
It
Oh,
was
so
the
good.
mean old man and the girl who just didn't give up on him.
Yeah.
And you never know what your neighbor needs, and a grumpy
Mm.
person might really need to have that, community around them. So
Yeah.
it kind of gives you an idea that people come from different places in their life, and you can't just
Hmm.
judge somebody by one interaction. So
Yeah. Yeah. Mm. So good. I've been hesitating to watch Coda because I know it's just going to make me cry. And A Man Called Otto totally did. It was such a touching
well,
movie.
it was really good. I like those kind of feel good. Of course, it goes with my peacemaker
Yes.
happy endings. So,
Yes.
even if it's tough times, you know that
Yeah.
you can always find what what's good that God brings in your life, you know?
Yes, absolutely. So true. Okay, what was your first concert, Jenny?
Well, I was talking to my daughter about that because I was raised in such a conservative family that I didn't go to rock concerts or anything, but I went to Christian concerts, and so the one thing I remember going to was Amy Grant and Steve Curtis Chapman, um, and,
Okay.
and they still put on concerts. At Biltmore Estate here has outdoor concerts, and they came last year or the year before. Maybe it was before COVID, but I really enjoy seeing those two whenever I go somewhere.
Wow.
But my first rock concert actually was when one of my daughters wanted to go see NSYNC.
That's
It was
awesome.
so much fun. Of course, at that age, they know every word by heart. When we were
Yes.
middle school and high school, we knew every word by heart. And it was so much fun to go to a big concert like that. And
Oh,
and my most recent one was Keith Urban in
okay.
Atlanta. We're getting to a point where we don't give each other gifts at Christmas. We give each other experiences.
That's
And
right.
and I
Yes.
said, I want to go to a concert. I want to go to a big concert like Keith Urban. And he goes, well, go get the tickets. So we went down to Atlanta, spent the night in a really great little place, and enjoyed Keith Urban for the night. It was fun.
Fun. Oh, good. Good. Okay, last question. What is a book that has transformed your life?
Let me think about this one because, after I got COVID, I wasn't reading as much. And, I don't know what it was. Maybe it was my attention span, but I have read, read recently Wendy's book. I went down to Chair
Chair
Whimsy's
whimsy. Yeah, life whimsy. Uh-huh.
Life Whimsy, and it was just so fun and spontaneous and encouraging about being creative.
Mm.
And so I can read, you know, short books that keep my attention. But after I had COVID, it was like my attention span dropped so much that I,
Mm.
I just keep it to, either articles or short books like what Wendy's was. I just happened to have so many layovers and delays with my airplane. I read it the entire way home from Texas.
Yes. Yeah.
It was very fun. But let me see if I wrote anything else down here. I don't think I've read any other very encouraging books recently, but I do stay current with most everything that's going on in the world, and.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, so good. So good. Well, thank you for letting us get to know you. Appreciate that
Mhm.
so much. So, I've had just the lovely opportunity to spend time with you over the last couple of years and really through what I will call just a pivot that has been either created and or necessitated through midlife experiences, through desires of you and your husband of what you want life to look like, together, of moving into empty nest or being empty nest, and just kind of all of these midlife components, as well as like some big health scares for you, that have really brought you to a place of thinking, okay, I need to do something different, for my business, and to move to a place where you're not doing stuff that's as physically demanding on you. And so, so much manual labor, and to be able to produce some passive income, some residual income. So maybe just start a little bit with like, what's been going on in your head over the last 2 years to, make you think, okay, I need to kind of make some changes in my life at this point.
Well, it's kind of like the Winding Road song, it starts one way and then it goes another. And
Mm.
I started my upholstery career about 10 years ago, and it was one of those points where my husband, I needed to reinvent myself because of, a move and economy and all that. He goes, "What have you always wanted to do, but never had the chance to do it?" And
Mm.
thank goodness he gives me those wings to fly to do that. And I
Mm.
said, because my background is in high-end dressmaking, And I had a window treatment business, and I was working for Macy's at the time, who sent me to Furniture Market. And I had the most eye-opening experiences when I went to High Point Furniture Market to see all
Mm.
the creativity that you could do in furniture. And and I looked at my husband. I said, "This is going to sound crazy, but I want to make beautiful chairs like I did beautiful dresses,
Mm.
and sell them." And he looked at me kind of, "Okay, well, what do you need?" And I said, "I need to learn how to do upholstery, and then the rest will come." And I did. I went to upholstery class for 2 years and learned the trade, and then I started making really creative chairs, and I did trunk shows for little stores around the area that I thought my chairs would look good in, and asked them if they would
Mm.
consign them. And I just I started selling chairs, and I got a little studio in our River Arts district here, and I found my ideal customers who loved my chairs. It was like art marrying furniture, and fast forward a few years, and I've had a lot of real great experiences with where my chairs have gone. And
Mm.
in the last couple of years, my husband and I have both had some health scares. We're getting up there in our years, and upholstery is a lot of physical labor. You're pulling
Yeah.
chairs around and lifting chairs up and turning them over, and
Yeah.
I love it because it's sort of like a workout in a way, but on the other hand, it's like there parts of your body just don't do what they did when they were young, obviously,
Hmm.
and your hands, obviously. But so I think COVID got me thinking, and I was watching Wendy grow on Instagram and Facebook, and I remember when she announced she was going to quit her job, and I thought, good for her, and she's been kind of an inspiration of somebody who
Hmm.
took it by the tail and just ran with it, because she does upholstery classes too. And so I finally signed up for one of her little weekend retreats and went down to Texas and met her, and was encouraged with this retreat of all the things that, it touched on a lot of different things. But
Hmm.
I was mainly there curious as to how to do this online classes with upholstery. It just seems like an oxymoron. You can't do upholstery online, right?
Yes. Yeah.
But she did, and she was very encouraging me to look into it. So a year later, it took a year, I actually started doing all my class. I started doing one at a time, learning how to use videos and time lapse and putting everything together and hiring somebody who could edit. And even at my age, I was learning something brand new. I knew what I was
Hmm.
doing with chairs, but I didn't know how to put it up and put it into an educational, fun kind of thing. And with upholstery, and some of you might know out there, it's a dying art. There's just no giant
Hmm.
upholstery school that everybody goes to get their degrees. And
Hmm.
so industry with the furniture has come from overseas for so long that they aren't renewing, how to make upholstery in all these big furniture
Wow.
manufacturers that we used to have here. It's all imports now, and a lot of the people are just fixing the upholstery instead of actually,
Hmm.
so I decided that I wanted to make it not only the how-tos of, the rules, but how to make
Yeah.
it fun, how to, come to the angle of there is a ton of furniture in those thrift stores and on the roadside finds and things like that. And I started my picking up my chairs by what they call junker necking, where you drive by it and you see it and you turn your head to see if it's worth
Yep.
saving.
That's right.
I remember driving home going, I'm going to go back down the road and pick up a chair on the side of the road. Is that okay with you? And he goes, go for it. So I drove down, stuffed the chair in my car, and found out that it was an old chair from the Grove Park Inn, which is a historic chair here or
Wow.
hotel here in town. So I felt like I hit the jackpot,
Yes.
and so it was just a little three-piece chair. Had a front and a back and a bottom. So I felt like I could do this. So I didn't know how to do it, but going to school really helped. And so I decided that my school wasn't that fun. It was just, you know, learn the rules kind of thing. And
Okay.
so I decided that, watching Wendy and how fun and upbeat she made her classes and her Instagram posts.
Mm.
I'm like, I would love to do that same thing, but make it more of an artistic twist and do some of the things. People ask me how I did all these chairs and, just do it more for our environment and have fun with it and be creative. When's the last time you did something and made something for fun? You don't
Mm.
always have to do upholstery for a business, but just to, you know, have a special chair that somebody gave you or it was grandma's and turn it into
Mm.
something that's so fun and usable for your own home or for a child. I recycle wedding dresses for people and put them on the back of chairs. And, what a great memory to have instead of in a closet on the back of a chair.
Mm.
And, it doesn't have to be a white chair. It could be a pink chair, or a green chair. But yeah, I really have made that way of making classes. But now the change has been so many different health things going on in the last 2 years, mostly with my heart. And of course, my husband's heart. He had a quadruple bypass last year. And, I was kind of the nurse for him. And then I had this thing after COVID that has been plaguing me for the last couple of years. And we're still getting down to the bottom of it. But I decided that it's just too hard to carry these chairs around anymore. And
Mm.
that this whole thing about doing class online might have some traction. So, actually going through the process of learning how to put classes online and going to the online platform that I have has classes that you could take and learn how to do everything. And to a point, I learned everything. I learned just how to do
Mhm.
it, but then I actually had help with somebody who could actually get it looking
Yeah.
better than I could. And I've just pivoted from actually, I'm getting ready to launch in September. All my classes will be out there for people to learn something new and creative and something, if you don't know anything, basic upholstery. But I have these wonderful ideas to springboard your next creative chair with. You can learn
Mm.
a design idea and put it on, a peacock feather can put it on a back of a chair, or you can learn, how to make a giant rose. But just being able to, what I learned, I did that came out of my head and put it into a video so somebody else could understand it.
Mm.
That's been a real challenge for me. But having people that help me create something fun for them to watch and step by step and handouts and things like that, it's been a process, but I feel like I really stuck with it, and
Mm.
I'm very proud of how everything turned out.
Oh, it's so exciting. I'm just delighted for you. So, the courses themselves, so you said it a minute ago, but I want to make sure we key in on it. So, you've got kind of some basic introductory classes for people who maybe have never done anything. And then you've got like the master classes for people that either have already know the basics or they've watched your taking your courses of the basics and now can like move into these amazing pieces of artwork chairs. Is that right?
Yes, I have 4 real simple classes that people can learn how to do the basics of taking a chair apart and putting back together a simple 3-piece chair, I call them, where they just have a back, a bottom, and an outside back. And I created one that's called Earth Angel, and it looks like a 3-piece chair, but I added wooden wings to it, so it looks like a little angel. And I mean,
Oh, wow.
it's just adding one thing to it can change the whole
Mm.
vibe of it. And then if beyond those classes, and again, one of the beginners classes is taking a little case piece like a nightstand or an end table and
Mm.
covering it with leather and putting nail heads on it and changing the whole look of it, putting some fabric on the sides. It just kind of gives an old piece that's kind of beat up and you really can't do too much to it. A little $10 nightstand can turn into a beautiful piece that you could put between 2 chairs. So yeah, I got that. And then you learn how to do a cushion right and learn how to do all the seating right. And those things are basic. Once you get those down, you can
Mm.
just spread your wings and try any of the other creative classes that I have, which I think are a lineup of 8 different chairs with different themes that you can learn, like Trapunto. It's an old theme. I think it comes from Italy, where it's like, how relief walls are with 3-dimensional things. This is like with fabric as well, making fabric 3-dimensional from the back side. So it's a layering effect and stuffing and turning a chair into, I have a flamingo chair that actually is 3-dimensional with the head, but it's all on the flat back. It's really kind of an old lost art. I learned how to do it in college, and I thought, I'll never, ever do this. And guess what? 50 years later, right? So I pulled some of these old things out of my hat that I had in my background, and especially with dressmaking, of with taking apart a wedding dress and how to take care of that wedding dress while you put it back on, and some of the secrets of how they make these dresses, and just learning to apply some of these fun, creative things to furniture makes it a whole new, world for, creativity.
Yeah. Oh, so good. So good. Hi, friends. Just popping into the conversation with Jenny super quickly. I am so grateful for all of you who have shared the podcast, whether that's with people you know or on social media, or have given a rating or a review. There have been a lot of you who have done something of that sort in the last few weeks, at least the ones that I am aware of. So just want to give a quick thanks to Elizabeth, Jody, Laura, Jen, Kendra, Lisa, Renee, Michelle, Joanna, Charlotte, Sarah, Kathy, and Hannah. I am always so grateful when you think about sharing an episode with a friend in your life, a woman in your life, or when you head on over to Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever it is that you're listening and leave a rating and a review. That just is something that delights my heart. So thank you for taking an opportunity to do that today with Jenny's episode. And let's get back to the conversation with Jenny. Okay, so I've said this to you in our conversations before, but I am just so blown away by your courage in midlife to make such an enormous pivot. And there's, so much learning that has had to take place for you through this experience. But I think I'd love for you to talk just for a couple minutes about getting past the mental part of it, of thinking, oh, I'm just too old, or I can't learn something new, or why even try? I think when we're in that, kind of midlife, and for a lot of women that are entering into the, empty nest, they're they want to find purpose. They want to find something that is, exciting to them and fulfilling for them and has meaning, but they're scared and they're nervous and they don't know, kind of where to even begin and how to kind of get to know themselves even in, a new season of life. So maybe talk just a little bit about that part of your journey.
Well, yes, I'm going to reveal how old I am. I'm 67 years old, and I started this 10 years ago. So I was 57 years old, and that's when most people are thinking about retiring. And I was not, I wasn't there yet. And I still had a lot of creativity to give, and I think I approached it by, it's going to be a fun ride. I didn't know where it was going to go. I knew what I wanted to do. I didn't even know I would be able to sell a chair. And now, my chairs are in Biltmore Estate in their gift shop. So, it's like, who knew, right? But I had a great coach named Laurel. And then I had a great cheerleader like my husband. And there were many times I thought, this is too hard for me. I can't do it. I can't sell what I want to sell. And I want to quit. And he's like, I said, I could go get a job somewhere, and start earning money. And he's like, I put too much into you to let you quit now. I want you to see what your dream is. And you know, when somebody gives you that kind of encouragement and that kind of support,
Mm.
you don't want to let them down.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, but even if you don't have that support, I'm offering something. I think women tend to really love furniture.
Mm.
I always loved going to furniture stores. My kids grew up going to furniture stores, but I think with the big green push now of saving
Mm.
the landfills from discarded furniture, there's a ton of things that could be
Yes.
refurbished and
Yeah.
revived, even if it's just putting a new seat on something. To me, it was like, I want to learn how to do it and do it well and do it fun,
Mm.
and I think that's what the kind of idea I want to come across in my classes is that you can do this. It's not a lot of sewing involved, you'd think there was,
Mm.
but of course, cushions and things, but most upholstery is just pull and staple, it's not
Yeah.
that hard. It's just more or less knowing how to do it, in the right construction, ABC or one, two,
Mm.
three, and knowing how to finish it off and knowing what tools to use and knowing some of the special little things that hold everything together.
Mm.
But once you get to know those things, it's like the opportunities are endless. And I think I never really was worried about whether I could do it. It was more, how can I
Mhm.
make this a business? And I think that was the hardest thing is it was different. It was a niche. Nobody ever saw chairs like my giant rose chairs. But just getting past those things and just keep trying things to see, if I put it here, will that sell? If I put it here, will that sell? And,
Mm.
I think when I finally got to a place where my ideal customer was somebody who loved art, somebody who
Yeah.
loved furniture, and somebody who didn't mind, buying a piece of art as a chair, a usable piece of art, I would call it. And
Mhm.
that's how I got discovered. That's how I've been, in the store windows of many different retail shops,
Yeah.
and it still amazes me when I go by a store window and I see my chair there and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's one of my chairs. They put it in the window. So, it's a fun realization that all the things I've learned through all my life, from dressmaking and window treatments and learning upholstery. And I actually did a gig of, flipping houses. I was a Joanna Gaines for a while. And I actually learned skills of carpentry skills and stoning and all kinds of stuff. But this has like
Mm.
been what I was born to do. When you come to a realization that I just love doing this and I
Mm.
enjoy sharing it with other people and helping people learn it. So this will definitely be one of my top things to do in life.
Yes. Oh, that's so good. And I mean, it is so true as an outsider looking in and, being able to be a tiny part of it with you, like your joy, your, looking at it as something fun, as something enjoyable, like that has been what has carried you through, the more difficult aspects of it that when you get potentially frustrated with, something that you're needing to learn, like that in all of our conversations, that was always what you came back to of like, I'm not doing this because I have to. There are plenty of other things, that I've done before and been successful at, and I could go back to doing, but this is something that I want to do. I find joy in it. It's fun for me, and I experiment along the way. So I've loved that mindset and attitude from you. I think that's been made a big difference for you for sure.
Yes. And I look at a chair like a blank canvas now. It's just, what does that chair
Mm.
shape speak to me, and what can I make out of it that would really emphasize those lines? It's more of a, like a blank canvas. Like I said, give me a paintbrush and let me paint, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
But yeah, and it hasn't been, all easy, like you said. There's
sure.
been a lot of setbacks and things I didn't understand. And I remember frustrating, pulling my hair out, trying to get things to work online. And, we're not as adept to all the computer things and online things and social media things. And, it's exhausting sometimes,
Yes.
I'm used to making things, so it was a whole new challenge to me. And I'm sure I'm going to be, I actually made it because, we're close to our retirement age and I want to do less, but, there's a lot of maintenance involved in all this, I'm sure
Yes.
it gets smooth as time goes on, but, you almost have to farm it like weeds in a garden. You have to keep it going and keep it flowing and water it all the time and making sure there's
Yes.
no bugs eating things up. It's definitely a new thing for me. I'll have to learn how to balance it because my
Mm-hmm.
husband catches me sometimes going, "You're on your phone a lot," and I'm like, "But it's
Mm-hmm.
my new business," and
Yeah.
and so I think it's going to be one of those things where I have to learn that I'm going to have to keep business hours and not have
Yeah.
to respond so quickly to things, which, immediate gratification online is half the name of the game of all these things. You have
Yeah.
to respond or else, and just quelling the misunderstandings when people can't get into their class or things like that. It's more,
Mm.
figuring out how to, reset a password. How do you do it? It's just those
Yes.
little things
Yes.
that you have to teach people how to do inside your, learning community. And it's
Mm.
and thankfully I do have people who help me when I get stuck, and I can go back to the website and ask for, a 15-minute talk to help me through something. But it's going to be a interesting ride, but so far my pre-launch things have been so successful. I've been so excited, and I'm just now getting my classes to the point where they're all accessible now. So that pre-launch thing was a good indicator of I haven't even started yet,
That's
So
right. Yeah.
that's
Good.
that's really what's going to be encouraging, and hopefully I'll tell you the next chapter of my
That's
story
right.
in another
Yes.
year.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So good. Okay. So, what advice would you give to the midlife woman who, kind of is in a place where you were 10 years ago, as well as 2 years ago, of just kind of thinking, something needs to change in my life. There's a gap for me, or, an unmet need. Like, what would you say to that woman?
Well, I love the question my husband asked me. He's a psychologist, so he knows how to ask all those right questions. And the one that said, "What have you always wanted to do but never been able to do it?" And
Mm,
and figure out the steps of how to get there, or find
hmm.
somebody who's doing what you're doing and go visit their shop, and
Yeah.
go ask questions. Even if it's a ton of upholstery shops are like a year to 2 years behind in their work. If you really want to learn, go to an upholstery shop and say, "Can I be an apprentice?" Because
Yes. Yeah.
obviously, or any kind of thing you want to do in life, if you have a passion for something and you've never been able to do it, there's something inside of you that's just pushing you to that.
Yes.
And I remember when I was in window treatments, I saw this guy on the cover of a magazine, and it was a story about how he started. It was like a lot like me, and so I called him up and said, "Can I come and like walk through your big shop that I saw in the
Mm,
front of the magazine?" And he said, "Sure." And he opened his shop and he talked about his business, and he
mm,
went around the world with me. And he said, "You know, I was just as happy being a one-person business than I was this giant business." He
mm.
goes, I still get, kudos from the industry, but he goes, "I remember
Sure.
when I was just as, a little business like you." And he goes,
Mm,
enjoy it. It's a process of learning. And I think if you've never had your own business, there's nothing more satisfying than saying, "I did that."
hmm.
Might have taken a while to get there, but I did that, and or I learned that. I know how to do that. And I think I was around, I took a little class on leather upholstery recently, and I realized how much I knew. It
Huh.
was like, it was, I didn't, because I thought, I don't know enough about leather. I have to take classes on this. But
Hmm.
I think from trial and error and just, doing my own things for so long, I thought, well, I actually know more than I thought I did. I just didn't know I knew,
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
don't give up on your dreams. And I think that would be, if something has been bugging you to do it. I mean,
Mm.
I get something stuck in my head with a design. I'm like, I got to go make a chair now because it's stuck in there. And until it comes out on a chair, I'm not going to get it out of
Mm.
there. So if you have something that you've always wanted to do, you know, entertain it and see if it
Yeah.
is something you can do, even if you have to work full time. And with what I do, you can consign your pieces and make a great part-time living or side gig
Mm.
that can turn into something big. And I think I'm giving that in my classes, that help to do something that you could do with your hands and make something wonderful, and also make other people's homes wonderful.
Yes.
In my case, I just wanted to learn it because I wanted to see if I could do it.
That's
And
right. Yeah.
at my age, you don't get too many women and going into the upholstery business, but
Mm.
I
Hmm.
found it more like a creative art. It's a lost and dying art, and I tended to be more on the mechanical side of
Hmm.
the
Yep.
the tests that you take and figuring things out, problem solving, and that's what it's all about. And so it just kind of clicked with me very easily.
Mm.
And even if you don't have mechanical abilities, it's not that hard. It's just learning how to do the rules. And once you learn the rules like a pro, you can break them like an artist,
That's
as
great.
who said that? Van Gogh. Van Gogh said that.
Yep.
So,
Yep. Uh, so good. Mm, thank you. That's, yeah, very helpful and very inspiring. And I think that is like, we do kind of maybe back ourselves into a corner of thinking like, okay, I've got to make this into a full-time thing or, have these expectations. So I love how you said that, it can be a part-time thing. It can be a side hustle. It can be a full-time thing if you want it to, or it also can just be for fun
but
that I
yeah,
just want to make a fun chair for a gift for a family member or for my own, living room. So I love that. So
exactly.
good.
Yeah. And how
Mm-hmm.
many times have you just made things for fun? You know,
Yes.
it's like you
Yeah,
did in elementary school. And then for some reason, you just don't do things for fun anymore. And this
that's right.
this really opens the door to do something fun.
Good. So good. So good. Okay, my last question for you that all of our guests answer is who or what is inspiring courage in you right now?
Well, it's a broad answer, but it's more specific at the end here. My family, I think having them all help me in some way has been so
Mm.
encouraging to me. And my daughter, my oldest daughter, has recently had a cancer scare. And to watch my daughter recover from going through a couple different surgeries and
Mm.
always having to have tests now, it's always behind her. But her strength and desire to continue life and moving forward and connecting with people instead of hiding away.
Mm.
She's just walked through fire.
Mm.
And a few months ago she moved closer to me, which was fantastic.
I'm sure for both of you.
Yeah.
Fantastic for you as well as for her. That's a
and,
real meaningful thing.
and she also has been helping me in my upholstery business, and she's
Mm.
super creative. So it gives me somebody to bounce ideas off of, and she can give me another angle to look at it. And she is also very good at keeping me on a timeline, not be distracted, because I tend to be a creative who's distracted all the time. But she's she's very good at moving forward with things and moving forward with her life. And it's been wonderful to walk alongside her during that journey.
Mm. So beautiful. So beautiful. Mm. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so grateful to have had the opportunity to talk with you and to be able to share you to the Courage Becomes Her community and inspire other women who are in midlife and, dealing with family things and health things and, just desiring meaning in life and fulfillment in life. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. It was wonderful being here.
Okay, one of the things that I love about midlife is we have perspective and we have viewpoints and awarenesses that younger women don't have. That is such a gift of midlife. And we know oftentimes, although sometimes that's not the case, it's not the case, but most of the time we know what our gifts are. We know what our talents are. We know what are the things that bring us joy and bring us energy. And we know how to pour life into other people through those. And that's one of the things that I just really appreciate and love about the conversation with Jenny today, is that she didn't necessarily know if she'd sell a chair. As she said, she didn't necessarily know what the response would be like to her courses, but she knew that she had gifts that she could use and share. And she knew that she could do something that would be beneficial to others. And she focused on that and let the outcome take care of itself. And her chairs are uber popular. I've put the link to her chairs in the show notes so you can take a look at those. I definitely want you to check out her chairs. And if you happen to be in Asheville, North Carolina, you can go and see them at the Biltmore, or you can also go and see them at her space at the River Arts District, her studio that she has there. And if you're interested in taking a look at her courses and either learning upholstery, or you already know upholstery or the basics and want to take that to the next level and do pieces of art like those chairs, then definitely take a look at Jenny's courses. All of the ways to contact her are in the show notes: her Instagram, her Facebook, her courses, her chairs. So please do take an opportunity to do that today. And I hope that you are encouraged to think about new purpose and utilizing your gifts, your talents, your experiences to bless others in midlife. Thanks so much, and we'll be back next week with another episode about midlife. What an honor to help you to cultivate confidence, courage, and joy in your life and work. Thank you so much for inviting me to journey with you. I look forward to being back with you next week, where we'll hear another story from a woman whom I love and am inspired by and look forward to learning from.